For the past 4 to 5 years, the Autumn Show at Malvern has had a special section holding the national giant vegetables, and that's been sponsored by Canna. The tent's behind me, so we're going to take a walk inside and have a look at some of the big monsters.
This is another bed of onions, but these are in a soil mix. They don't seem to be doing as well as the ones I've got in the Malvern plate. These are
Right folks, you join me with this huge monster. I'm with the owner here, Clive Bevan. And what's the actual weight of this, Clive?
it weighs 73 kilos.
73 kilos. And tell us a story about this. How do you actually grow something as big as this?
Well, obviously you've got to have the right sort of seed. And what I always do, I water my vegetables and feed them liquid feed, and it's got to be warm water.
Okay, right.
Because I found in the past, if you've got them in warm water, it acts as a blanket if the temperature, the soil temperature goes down at night.
Okay.
So therefore the water stays warm.
Right.
So I use big 40-gallon barrels of water, obviously, and they warmed up in the sun during the day, then I water in the evening.
Would something like this, you grow this in the polytunnel, yeah?
No, these won't grow inside.
So we have to grow these out?
These are grown outside.
So give us a typical story of this. How did you start growing? What time of year would you start to sow the seed?
The seeds, I select the seeds now over Christmas and dry them out.
Yeah.
When the plant either rots down or I cut it open. Then dry the seed above the radiator so they dry more or less naturally, so they dry out properly. Select the ones I want, because the best seed of the marrow, and the same with most plants, is at the growing tip.
Yeah.
And then planted middle of May, beginning of June. And
so that's a really short period of time. You're talking like 10 weeks from ground from the seed to
10 to 14 weeks, all depending on the weather, of course.
Yeah.
But if we have a decent summer, you can see them growing overnight.
Oh yeah, that's unbelievable. How do you start the seed off in just normal seed pots?
No, I start all my seeds off in the Chinese takeaway containers on tissue in warm water in the propagator, so as I can see the seed germinating. When the seed has got the first radical root on it, I then plant it into compost. that's already been warmed up in a little 3.5-inch pot and move it on as it requires to be moved on.
And is this your personal best at the moment?
This is my personal best, but I'm hoping for better.
So will you be putting this down for seed and taking?
Yes, some of the seed. But I got to tell you that I've had marrows a little bit smaller than this one because this is my personal best.
Yeah.
And I've opened them up and there hasn't been one seed inside.
And how did you get on regarding pollination of these plants? Because obviously there's a male and a female plant, is
Well, what I do, if I grow 4 or 5 of these plants, and then I know what the genetics are of the plant, so I take the male flower off one plant, and it's usually early in the morning. When the female flower opens on the plant I want the marrow off, I then put the male flower into the female flower. I get a piece of string and tie the flower up so the bees don't pollinate it, because the bees could travel across somebody else's garden and just be normal table marrows, and the last thing I want is a bee to pollinate this with a table marrow seed, or pollen rather, and hopefully next year they'll come here again with the same.
What do you do regarding feeding the plant? Because I should imagine the speed this grows, it's rapidly hungry plant.
Yes. Now, as they grow, I bury the vine, and as I'm burying the vine, I put chicken pellets in the bottom of the trench. I make a V trench like so, and I put the vine in the bottom of the trench, then I sprinkle chicken pellets in.
So that's like a high nitrogen feed?
And then cover it back over, then keep the ground moist so the chicken pellets will melt down, and then in the water a couple of times a week I put more chicken pellets to dilute the chicken pellets, and then I water them on as well.
And that keeps it going throughout the season?
That'll keep it going, mate.
And how soon would you actually lift this ready for a show?
This was lifted the morning of Thursday when I bought it.
All right, so it's as late as that, so it's the very last thing.
Yes.
It's nice to meet you, Clive, and thank you very much for sharing sometimes the cloak and dagger, these techniques how people grow.
No, it's quite simple. If use a lot of common sense when you're growing, and like I say, we've all got to start somewhere. Just bring in a decent sized one, and we're all prepared to share our seed and some of our secrets with people like yourself, because Nigel, I'm going to put a bet down with you now. You better turn up with one similar next year.
So folks, you've heard it from the horse's mouth. If you want to get into this giant veg, come along to one of the shows, have a chat with the growers. They're very, very friendly people, I can tell you that firsthand, and quite often they're happy to donate you some seed. Thanks very much, Clive. Nice speaking to you.
Yeah, no problem, mate.
Thank you.
I'll catch you again. Cheers, mate.
don't quite out.
For all the people in YouTube land who watch the gardening programmes, you'll no doubt know this guy next to me, Dean from Dean's Lost the Plot. And we've got some good news. He's got a first prize with the heaviest cucumber. Well done, Dean.
Hey.
Do you want to hold your specimen up and show the crowd?
Yeah.
And what weight have we got on that, Dean?
10.14 kilograms.
Okay. And what's the story behind it? When was it sown?
So I sowed the seed at the beginning of May,
Yeah.
and I set the seed about 6 to 8 weeks prior to the show.
Okay.
So I've got about 4 or 5 plants, 3 for heavy, 3 for long, 2 for long, and I set the first one. I set it a bit too early because I've taken it off a bit earlier, but this one I set a couple of weeks later when I was advised to do so. And look, it's done all right.
Is this your first victory on a big site, competition?
Yeah. It's the first ever place card. I've actually getting 3 this year.
Right.
I've brought 4 things and I've getting 3 place cards.
And
so this is the first ever win, though.
What we got lined up for next year? Anything different or
I'm not
exactly
putting
the
this down
same?
because it isn't like it was the same. So next year I've got to prove that this wasn't a fluke.
Yeah.
I've got to do it again. I'll be doing the long cucumbers, the heavy cucumbers. I'm going to try a heavy radish as well because that's quite popular and I've got some seed for that. The long chilli. One of my main targets though is I want to put a set of 5 onions on the quality bench, because when it comes to things like the longest and the heaviest, the scales and the tape measure are your judges.
Okay.
But whereas it comes to the quality, you've got to grow this side, you've got to have it uniformed, you've got to have the right amount, you've got to have it looking pristine, you've got to dry them off, you've got to give them 6 weeks to dry off, make sure that the skin doesn't... There's a lot more skill involved with the exhibition.
Listening to that list there, looks like you're going to need another allotment, is that right?
I've already got 2, don't need any more.
Okay. Cheers then.
Not a problem.
Thanks. With me, will need no introduction. You'll recognise the shirt first, but first of all, hello Ian, nice of you to speak to me.
That's all right, thank you.
What sort of season have you had this year?
The worst for 30 years.
And what do you think's the problem with that?
We had no sunlight in May and we had no sunlight in August.
And what's happened to your giant veg now?
Well, all the marrows got split, so I rotivated them in and put my green manure down.
Yeah.
The carrots just rotted. It just didn't grow.
So what have you put into the show here at Malvern this year?
I got beetroot, which I come second.
Yeah.
Celery I come second. Swedes I've come second. And the aubergine I've come second. I got first in the bell pepper.
Okay. And will you be growing again next year, or has it disheartened you this?
No, it's no good sitting in the chair, feeling sorry self. That's when you go loopy.
Right. Then this giant veg lark, it seems to be increasing in popularity. What would you, for a new person who's thinking of growing giant veg, what would you suggest of trying first?
Well, I would say the marrow, but the trouble is, there's these marrows, they've got this dill ring, and it splits, and that's when you get your disappointment.
Okay.
Probably beetroot if you can get onto the right seed, but most of this is grown inside, in a polytunnel or in greenhouses.
Yeah. So, for the first time grower, then, would you expect them to start?
Celery is pretty good. If you go Morning Star, Morning Star, there's only one man, Medwin Williams, Morning Star, but we are trying Ideal.
I noticed there's an Evening Star in there by Graham Barrett's done quite well, is there?
Yeah, well, we've decided we're going, Tyrone and I, we're going open pollinated, which is Ideal, and I got one next year, which is Giant Red.
Okay. Now,
we can't find the ideal seed about anymore.
For growing in the ground, open ground, how do you prepare the soil over the winter?
Well, you've got to start now.
Yeah.
If you can get some farmyard manure, well done.
Yeah.
But if you can't, I recommend green manure, which is field beans and ryegrass.
And what you do, put it on the top and leave it, or do you dig it in?
With field beans, it wants to be dug in, otherwise the birds pinch it. The ryegrass just got put on top.
Okay, right.
Flowers ain't quite out.
End of the show, sometimes the growers will actually cut their marrows and large veg in half, allowing the viewers to grab some seed and maybe grow something equal, if not better. So, the joint veg is coming to an end now. Most of the growers have taken the stuff. As you can see, some of it has been chopped up and seed been taken from it. It's been a marvellous day, and it really does encompass you into the world of growing giant veg. So if you're tempted, get in touch with any of these guys on there, and I'm sure they're only too willing to help you out. That's about all from me. Many thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye for now.